Hey everybody, happy Thursday afternoon live tutorial stream. Hope everyone is doing okay out there wherever you are in the internet. Amy, hey Tallyfet, Lori, Aso, and Amy. Amy, I'm so sorry to hear you're still feeling badly. Amy is down with COVID, unfortunately, so all of our best wishes go out to her, and hope everyone's having a great Thursday. It's a beautiful, sunshiny, warm day here in Dallas, so if I didn't have to be at work, I would probably be working in my garden doing winter maintenance, but I'm here instead with you guys to teach you this. This is our Tangled Vines bracelet. This is a really fun, very, very easy project. One of those great, like, oh crap, I need a present, like, right now projects, because you can literally knock one of these together, depending on how densely you decide to pack the beads, in, 15-20 minutes tops. It is a knotting project, but the knots are spaced out, so you don't need to precisely place them, which means you don't really need tweezers or anything. I've got one just in case, but it's a really nice little freeform project. You can really use as many or as few beads as you want to on this project. So again, it's a great project for your leftovers. So let's talk tools and supplies for this afternoon's tutorial. You're going to need some waxed linen cord. This is 3-ply waxed linen cord that I'm using. I've got this pretty burgundy color that I am going to be using for my project today. You're going to need beads. Your beads must fit on your waxed linen cord, so I'm going to be combining copper and gold plated of my cornerless cube beads because those have nice big holes. Now you want to make sure that the whole size of your beads doesn't backfire on you. It needs to fit on the cord, but the hole still needs to be small enough that when you tie a knot in the cord, the bead doesn't just fall right over it. So there is kind of a fine line that you have to walk. You're also going to need one large hole bead that's going to be for your closure. So you basically need a bead that all of your strings will fit through. By the end of this process, you are going to have 6 of your linens that are going to have to go up through that bead. And as far as supplies, that's all you're going to need. As far as tools go, you're going to need some kind of cutting implement, either a sharp scissors or a wire cutter. I have a wire cutter handy, so that's what I'm going to use for my project today. And like I said, a tweezers may be helpful. You probably won't need it, but I'm going to have one on hand just in case. And then a macrame board. This is not an essential tool for this project, but it's really helpful. That's all I'm going to say. It's just, it's the third hand that that we all kind of occasionally in our crafting time wish we came equipped with, but we didn't. So this is going to help you by holding those things for you, so you can do your braiding and your knots and all of that. So, oh God, I hate freezing rain. It's the worst. Okay, so I'm going to take my wax linen and I'm going to cut myself 3 pieces of my wax linen. And I would probably be okay with 24 inches per piece, but just because I'm a paranoid person, I'm going to cut myself 30 inches. I'm going to cut 3 30-inch pieces of my wax linen. That's because I need to make sure that I have enough for my braiding. I need to make sure I have enough for my knotting. And once again, I'm just a little paranoid always about getting caught out with less cord than I need to finish my project. So 3 pieces of my wax linen at 30 inches each. Alright, and then we're going to take those pieces, why wax linen? It really could be anything, honestly. I like the wax linen because it doesn't fray. And it's since it is wax, it's easy to string the beads on, but you really could use anything, any fiber for this project. It doesn't have to be wax linen. It's just something that we carry, and Heather and I both like working with. Since this is her project, that's why that was chosen. So I'm going to take my cords. I've just kind of lined them all up. I'm going to find the middle of my cords. So right here is about the middle of my cords, and I'm going to go about 3/4 of an inch to one side of my middle, and I'm going to clip that into my macrame board like so. Now the reason that I've clipped it off center, there's no there's no purpose to that other than these macrame boards that we use a lot for teaching get worn out in the middle, and so they won't hold your cord. So I just hopped over a couple notches to one that's not used as often. So I've got a good steady hold on my cord. And I also need something to prop my macrame board up on. Oof. There we go. So now I'm going to braid my cord. It's like one way it's too tall, one way it's too short. We have a Goldilocks situation going on here on the Beading Dream stream. Okay, that should work. Okay, so I'm going to take my cords, my 3 cords that I have here, and I'm going to do a basic 3-strand braid with them. So if you've ever braided your hair or done anything of the sort, it's exactly the same braid that you would do in that type of situation. Okay, really? My prop keeps sliding back. Okay, so if you've never done a 3-strand braid before, it's fairly simple. You've got 3 strands of cord, and you're just going to start with either the right or the left hand one. It doesn't really matter which, but you're going to cross that one over the center cord. Now, whichever cord you had just... More rain? Yeah, it would be nice to have some rain here in Dallas, because that way my garden would get watered without me having to hook the hose back up. So I crossed my right hand cord over the center. Now that cord has become the center cord. Now I'm going to cross my left hand cord over the center. And now that cord has become my center cord, and I'm going to continue that. Right crosses over center and becomes, okay, that's just not going to say. Right crosses over center and becomes center, and then left crosses over center and becomes center. Alright, we're going to try a slightly different strategy here. So I'm going to continue this 3-strand braid process for about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. That's better. So right crosses over center and becomes center, left crosses over center and becomes center. So again, exactly the same braid that you would do if you were braiding your hair or anything else. Okay, so I know you especially are very familiar with braiding your hair. So what I'm making here is the receptacle for my bead, so basically my closure. So I want it to be about 3/4 of an inch once it's looped. So I'm absolutely going to do about 1.5 inches of braiding. I did not know that COVID turned you into a water buffalo. Good things to know.
What?
According to Amy, she has turned into a water buffalo.
Okay.
I think that means she's hydrating a lot, which is exactly what one should do when one is unwell. Okay, so I've got 1.5 inches of braiding. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that and bend it in half. And before I knot it off, I just want to make sure lost my bead, y'all. Squishy cat. Squish! There it is. I just want to make sure that my bead will actually go through this little loop that I have made, because the bracelet, of course, is not a whole lot of good to anybody if you can't actually wear it. So this will go through, the bead will go through this loop that I've made, so that is good. That means I did what I needed to do. So now I'm going to take this loop and I'm just going to put all 6 of these cords together. So this is how you get 6 from 3s. You bend them in half. I'm just going to take my loop in my right hand. I'm going to wrap around my left hand with that loop, put my loop through that circle that I have made, and then just gently pull. And what I want is I want my knot to tighten up right at the base of that loop, like so. one, before we go too much further, we want to make sure that it still goes through, which it does. So, little hi, Sophia. How's the weather in northern Wisconsin? I would imagine you're probably slightly better than Lori, but probably not much. Northern Wisconsin, aka Southern Canada. So, alright, so my bead does still go through that loop, so that's good. So now I've got 6 cords here, and I'm going to put this back in my macrame board. Again, this is kind of macrame light, Sophia. I'm just basically using my macrame board as the third hand that I wish I had, but I don't. So I've got 6 cords now that are coming down from my knot. And I'm going to string onto each of these cords all of the beads that I'm going to use for each strand. So you can get as crazy or as not crazy as you want to with your beads. So what does Heather have on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so she's got 7 beads on each strand of this bracelet, or approximately 7, that I have as my sample here. So I am going to follow. Yes, exactly. Good stash buster. Sophia is not wrong. Good use for all of your leftovers, because you don't have to have all of the same bead, or even, you know, any of the same bead, honestly, on a bracelet like this. So I'm going to go ahead and take my little, and I'm using these Tortoise cubes in copper and brass, and I'm going to string 7 of them onto each of my strands. So I've got my, start this way. So I've got my bracelet on my macrame board. I've got my 6 strands kind of spread out, and then I'm just going to string onto each strand 7 beads in random color order. So I picked up 3 coppers, so I'm stringing 3 coppers in a row, and then a couple of brass, a couple more copper. That's 7. Ooh, it's okay. So it's 30 degrees above zero in northern Wisconsin. That's exciting. All right, and then I'm gonna take my cord that I have. That's the cord that I just threaded my 7 beads on, and I'm just gonna tie the end in a slip knot, so that my beads don't come off. So slip knot is where you tie a knot and then you pull through. Instead of pulling through an end, you're gonna pull through a loop. That way, if I want to take this knot out, all I have to do is pull these 2 ends, and my knot will come right out. So I'm going to tie a slip knot, and then just for ease of keeping everything organized, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to just find a random notch over here on the side of my macrame board, and I'm just going to clip it in there so that it holds it for me. So again, this is my 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th hands for this project. So I'm going to do the same with all of my strings, so 7 beads on each. Now, I definitely overestimated at that 30 inches of cord that I told you all to cut. We definitely would have been fine with 24 inches per strand. The good news is the wax linen is not very expensive, so if you overestimate, you're probably, you know, wasting a grand total of like 50 cents worth of cord. 4, 5. Now don't forget to tie that little slip knot in the end of your string, because I guarantee you, if you don't, you're gonna lose your beads. So this is my 2nd string. Sorry, wrong frame. So I'm just, again, gonna tie that slip knot. So it's just around. Pull your loop through like so, and then find another notch on my macrame board. Rip that off, so that now I've got 2 cords that are being held that have beads on them, and I'm going to continue with my remaining 4 cords. So again, great stash buster project, very easy, quick project. Once we get all these beads on here, the knotting on it is going to go super, super fast. And fun, really fun. These make great additions to your arm party. Like if you like to stack bracelets, they're a really nice kind of textural inclusion for your bracelet stack. And of course you could apply this to a necklace design as well. You would just need to start with a longer piece of cord. For a necklace you probably want about 16 to 18 inches finished length. So you want to start with probably 4-foot pieces of cord, just to be safe, 3 4-foot pieces of cord. Again, that's probably me overestimating, but I am paranoid about running out of cord. Alright, so it is Torch Thursday on the Beading Dream stream. That means tonight we will be coming at you with a torch project, and we're going to be doing this one. This is our gallery wire pendant, and one of my favorite ways to set things, ways to make things look fancy, even though your technique is fairly simple. So gallery wire pendant, excuse me, is going to be tonight's Torch Thursday project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then tomorrow night is our Zoom Crafty Cocktail Time, which means that tomorrow evening you will not find us on Facebook, you will not find us on Twitch, you'll find us on Zoom having fun, doing crafts, and probably drinking beverages of some sort if you have Zoomed with us before. It is a recurring meeting, so your credentials will be the same if you've not Zoomed with us before. Email us beadingdreamsdallas@gmail.com to get that meeting info. Looking forward to seeing all of your faces tomorrow night. 2 more strands to go for me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is theoretically something that, I mean, you could if you wanted to pre-string, if you were traveling with this project or something and you didn't want to deal with, you know, having strung beads, or unstrung beads, sorry, traveling with you, you could absolutely pre-string this and then just take it with you and do the knotting if you're looking for like a road project or a plain project. If you're doing it as a plain project, you may not be able to bring your tweezers. I've had mixed results with tweezers, carrying on an airplane. Technically, they are allowed because they're under 6 inches, but they're really pointy, and so sometimes they get grouchy about them and take them away anyway. Okay, so that's all 6 of my strands. I'll have beads on them now, so I'm going to start my knotting. So this is very, very free-form knotting, okay? We're not trying to precisely position our knots really at all, which once again makes it go very, very quickly. So I'm just going to pick a strand to start with, and I'm just going to take the one that's furthest to the right. Again, make sure you've got that little stopper knot in there. I'm going to slide up 1 bead, and then I'm going to make a knot. So all the rest of my beads are down below my knot. They're down here at the end of my string. I'm just going to go around and through, so just a basic overhand knot, and then I'm just going to tighten that up, and you want it approximately 3/4 of an inch to an inch from your beginning knot. Again, approximately being the key here. Then we're going to slide up another bead. Lori's making homemade hamburger buns. So not fair. Make a knot. I actually don't care what the food enticements are. There's no way you're getting me anywhere near Alberta or Wisconsin until, you know, like May. Alright, there's knot number 2. So I'm actually, these beads are a little bit big. We're gonna pretend that they're not, but remember what I said at the beginning of the tutorial, your beads shouldn't fall over your knot? Okay, I did not do an experiment. I didn't do a test. Which is interesting because the brass ones, oh no, they all go over. Oh well. You know, this is going to be one of those don't point it out to people and it'll be fine types of things. Alright, so then my 3rd bead slides up, maybe not. So that's 3 beads on there. And we want this to be about 6 inches long because your, remember your loop here is about 3/4 of an inch long, and then you got a little bit of length added here. So 6 to 6.5 inches is what we're going for. depending on whether you have a smaller wrist or more of an average wrist. So right now I'm at 1, 2.5. So just kind of bear that in mind, that you don't want this to get too long. So pull up your next bead, and then it's just an overhand knot. It's around and through, and then tighten. Like so. So it is literally, if somebody ran up to you and handed you a piece of cord and said, hey, tie a knot in this, chances are you would probably either tie this knot or you would tie a square knot. Alright, so that takes me to 5 inches. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads. So I've got 2 more beads, and I've got about 1.5 inches of length that I need to add onto this. So I'm going to cheat my last 2 knots to be a little bit shorter. I've also never made handmade, yes, but homemade hamburger buns. Not a big baker. Never have been. I love to cook, but baking's never really been my jam. Probably because I'm not really great at super precise measurements. Okay, and this last one, we are not going to put a knot after it because that's all going to get gathered together in a knot similar to this one here. So I think we're good. 6.5 inches. Perfect. So I'm going to clip that one back off, and I'm going to repeat for the rest of my strands. So back to the top, pull up a bead, and pull up a bead, and a knot. You can either try and line your knots up with your previous strand or not. It's totally up to you. I actually kind of like to offset them so that way my beads kind of set at a different place in my bracelet. I like to eat the baked goods. I just don't love to bake the baked goods. And now that I'm gluten-free, of course, the baked goods field is significantly reduced. And it's always, when you're baking gluten-free, it's always kind of a crapshoot about is it going to turn out or not, which is really a bummer when you've spent a lot of time on something and it turns out absolutely tasting like crap, or with a really funky texture or something like that. So a lot of times I'll just cook because it's way more reliable. Did I tell you all about my fried chicken failure from a couple of weeks ago? I can't remember if I did or not. If I didn't, let me know and I will. If I did, I won't bore you with my fried chicken failure, twice. I did, okay, yes, my poor naked fried chickens. Next time I shall do better. I'm at my second to last bead. That's going to get a knot, and then my last one is not going to get a knot after it because that's all going to get gathered together in my final knot. So this is why you want to do what I didn't do and do a test of your bead sizes, because what's happening is these beads are they're falling over the knots, and they're just kind of falling together, which isn't exactly the look, but at this point, we're just going to soldier onwards. Okay, so that's 2 strands, and I'm just going to repeat for my other 4 strands. I'm sure most of the people who are here now were here to hear of my fried chicken failure, since there's 5 of you out there, and I'm pretty sure I can name each and every one of you. The point is, if you're doing a wet batter on a fried chicken, you really need to do a flour dredge in between the buttermilk marinade and the battering and the frying. And also you need to let them rest, which I did not know. Apparently after you batter your chickens, they're tired and they need a brief rest before they go in the oil. Not being a southern girl, truth be told, I've never made fried chicken from scratch. And judging by my success the last time I tried, I'm going to go with I still haven't made fried chicken from scratch. But it did turn into a rather delightful chicken parmesan pasta casserole. So there's that. So, remember when I said about having that little stopper knot at the end of your cord? Yeah, it's important. Apparently I forgot on this one and now my beads are all on the floor. Luckily it's only 7 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know, Pam, I was trying to branch out. I was shaking. I know, I'm fine with, like, you know, flouring, dredging, and doing breadcrumbs and all of that. And they've got great gluten-free breadcrumbs these days. So it's delicious. I was trying, I was being ambitious, and my hubris came back and bit me in the chicken. It's very sad. Alright, so I've got four of my 6 strands are knotted now. You know, sometimes you just have to get adventurous in the kitchen, and then sometimes you have a massive failure. And that's the way it works. New Kitty is doing really, really well. Okay, Ace asked, so now y'all are going to get a photo. She's discovered a chair in the library. It's her new favorite place to sit. So yes, she's very, very cute. And she and Ziggy are proceeding apace with the family integration process. Anybody who's ever integrated cats before knows that it's a slow process. But it's definitely, I mean, there's marked improvement even this morning, you know, from a week ago. So I think eventually they're going to be friends. Ziggy just needs to realize that, and so does she. She is a chow hound, though. Oh my gosh. And again, I don't know if she's preggo or if she's just, you know, being a formal feral, taking advantage of the fact that there is, focus, that there is all of the food all of the time now, but she just will hoover her food, and then if Ziggy doesn't eat his food, she'll hoover his food too. Oh, seriously. Well, and that was, I will say, the one good thing about the fact that my chicken batter completely removed itself from my chicken is there was a whole lot of fried batter left in the pan, which, since it was gluten-free, I could enjoy without fear of a migraine, which was nice. Yes. See, I didn't have a grandmother that made fried chicken. I feel like this is life experience that I wish I had. But again, not being a southern girl, did not. Okay, so now I have all of my strands knotted like a little Christmas tree. So we're going to take this off of my macrame board. And again, I'm going for, I want about 7 inches total. So that's including this loop here. So I'm going to undo everything. I want to make sure I have those last beads up where they're actually going to wind up on the bracelet and not just like dangling down at the end. Just make sure you get all of those slid up, and then kind of gather everything together, even everything out. Okay, so you want everything to basically be in line. You don't want any of your strands to be, you know, doing this kind of weird poofing out thing. And then I'm going to grab my ruler. Okay, yes, I'm already at like 7 inches, so we're just going to go ahead and tie our knot. Now, so I'm a little longer than I wanted. If I decided that this was going to be, say, for me, and was just going to be way too big for me, I could always just skip all these last beads and then tie my knot without the last beads on there, and that would allow me to shorten it up a little bit. So that's a totally valid adjustment if you want to do that. So I'm going to gather all of these together, and I'm just going to take all 6 of these strings. I'm going to tie the same overhand knot I did at the beginning. So they're all 6 going to go around my fingers. They're all 6 going to go through that loop that I just made. And then I'm going to just tighten that knot down so it falls right at the end of all of my beads, like so. Now I can just trim the end of my cord, so all of these, I could just untie all of these knots, but I've got plenty of extra cord, so there's no point. So I will admit, I don't have as much extra as I thought. I only have about 6 inches of extra cord here, so my 30 inches wasn't quite as far off as I thought it was. And I'm going to take all 6 of these cords, they're going to go through my large hole bead, and this is one of the handy things about the wax linen, is if you just kind of roll it in your hand, the linen will stick together a bit, and it makes it pretty easy for you to string all 6 of them through this large bead. If you're using a different kind of fiber that's not waxed, you might have to use a needle, use an awl, use the tweezers, or you can even, you know, put some wax on your cord. And this is the only knot in this whole process that we do want to position rather precisely. We want it to be as close to the end of this bead as possible. So I'm going to do, again, same overhand knot around and through, and if you're familiar with the knotting tweezers, this is where it can help you. Just go through that knot, grab right next to that bead, and then pull and push like so. Also, thank you, Pam. I will tell Miss Ma'am that you said she's beautiful. Still haven't quite settled on a name, so she's still Missy Miss. If I don't settle on a name soon, that's just going to be her name. But she hasn't completely told me yet what she wants her name to be. Okay, so there's my knot. I'm going to cut that knot off right, almost flush. And then just bring those together, and then I'm going to grab some hypo cement, which was underneath my squishy cat, because that's where you keep your hypo cement, is underneath your squishy cat. Or it is if you're me. So this is GS Hypo Cement, this is a watch crystal cement, this is a great cement for gluing cords of all kinds, including elastic. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to saturate the end of that knot in my hypo cement, so I get a nice good coating of glue all the way around like so. Make sure you get the stylus back into the little tube. And then we're just going to let that dry, and then when we want to put our bracelet on, that goes into that loop. Pops over like so. And there we are. That's it. That's our Tangled Vines bracelet. So even with me talking about cats and whatnot, I still managed to finish this in under an hour, and so you can too. And again, it makes a really fun gift. You could put charms on this if you wanted to. You could also, like I said, you could do a necklace, put a pendant on it. Really, really fun project. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us on the Beading Dreams Lunchtime tutorial for Tangled Vines Bracelet. I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. For anybody who doesn't know us, once again, I think I pretty much know everybody on stream today, but if you don't know us, we are an actual brick-and-mortar retail bead store. We're here on Lovers Lane in Dallas. We're open Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That means we are going to open in about 10 minutes, and we'll be here tonight in person until 6 p.m. to feed your need to bead. I will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, with that Torch Thursday class, our gallery wire pendant, tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time. So, anybody who wants to see me play with fire, tune in for that tutorial. And then, of course, anybody who wants to interact and have a good old time on Zoom, make sure you email us for those Zoom credentials, beadingdreamsdallas@gmail.com. Everyone have a fantastic Thursday afternoon, and we'll see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, this evening at 6 p.m. I will check for you, Amy, and I'll text you.